Talofa lava, kia ora ana malo elelei, whakalofa lahi atu and warm Pacific greetings to you. Welcome to this special 5:31 PI debate for the Auckland City, Tamaki Makaurau City Council local elections. I'm William Terite. It's great to have your company, and with me in the studio is our local democracy reporter, Mary Afemata. Now, here at 5:31 PI, our role is to make sure Pacific voices are part of the conversation in local democracy. Auckland is home to the largest Pacific population in Aotearoa, and this afternoon we'll hear directly from Pacific candidates putting themselves forward to represent you on the Auckland Council. Joining me this afternoon are candidates Henrietta Devoe, Alf Filipaina, Lotu Fuli, Vicky Howe, Josephine Bartley and FaAfuhia. Here is how today's debate will run. Each candidate begins with 1 minute of opening remarks. I'll then ask each candidate 2 questions and they'll have up to 2 minutes to respond. At the end, every candidate will have a 1 minute for a closing statement. At hour, I must also mention there will be a 5-minute interval to allow for our language news bulletin. We'll keep everyone to time here to make sure it's fair, and a bell will ring once your time is up. Please try to end your statement there. So, with that being said, let's crack straight into it. We'll begin with opening remarks, and each candidate, like I said, has 1 minute. We'll start with you, Henrietta Devoe.
Alofa lava, everyone. My name is Henrietta, and I'm running as your ACT local candidate for the Manuka Award, as well as the Aotearoa local board. My top 5 priorities are fiscal discipline, cutting 50 million of wasteful spending, investing and upgrading stormwater systems, providing extra bins, focusing on weekly collections to help solve illegal dumping, partnering with private contractors, and holding community forums without increasing rates, ending above inflation hikes on small businesses, cutting red tape, allowing private waste services, and fast-tracking permits. I'm doing this to give back to my community after having children and successfully raising a family in Aotearoa with my husband Moses, who I have been married to for 23 years. I believe service starts in the home and naturally transfers to community and country. Whakaite lava.
Well, that was nicely timed there. All right. Thank you very much. That is Henrietta Devoe, of course, ACT Party candidate. We're going to turn now to Alf Filipaina. Alf, your 1 minute starts now for your remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alf Filipaina, been a councillor for 22 years. I want to continue doing what not only myself, but Councillor Lotu Fuli and Councillor Josephine Bartley have been doing, which is serving our community, not only in regards to infrastructure, because you got water care, but also looking at our community facilities, parks. We know that our kids and our adults use all the parks. We've collectively ended up getting quite a few $1 million to go to our parks, not only in Manukau Ward, which both Lotu and I represent, but also our Maungakeke, Tamaki, and the ward that Josephine has. So we've advocated and got money and real money to support our community. Kia ora.
Thank you very much. That is Alf Filipaina there. Well timed. Gosh, all of you guys so far are disciplined, eh? With that being said, of course, he is an incumbent, and from one incumbent to another, I now turn to you, Lotu Fuli, for your opening remarks, starting now.
Kia ora and talofa. My name is Lotu Fuli. I'm one of your current Manukau Ward councillors alongside local legend Alf Filipaina. Alf and I are standing for re-election on the Labour ticket. Manukau is the face of the future. In this growing divided world that we live in, Manukau stands as a shining example of how our community can live together, celebrate our diversity, be inclusive and connected, and grounded on te tiriti or Waitangi principles. But we remain underserved. And under the leadership and the mayoralty of Wayne Brown, Manukau faces a funding shortfall of between $1 million and $1.5 million going forward. Yesterday, Wayne said at a public meeting that his solution is for Manukau to sell their reserves, our playgrounds, our sports fields. We need strong advocates to stand up against that kind of poor leadership. Alf and I are battle-hardened. We have a proven track record of standing up to this mayor, of not backing down, of not being bullied and not being bored. Manukau needs experience, they need fortitude and skills, so vote Fuli and Filipaina for that. Kia ora.
Thank you very much for that. That is Lotu Fuli there. All right, we'll turn to another incumbent, Josephine Bartley. Your 1 minute remark starts now.
Talofa malo lelei ki orana, whakalofa lahi atu. Good afternoon to all your listeners out there. Thank you very much, William and Pacific Media Network, for the opportunity to be part of this debate. I'm Josephine Bartley. I am standing in the beautiful Maungakiki Tamaki. I've been a councillor now since 2018 when I came through in a by-election. I'm standing on a Labour ticket. By that, my values are about the collective, about stronger communities. I live in Glen Innes. Part of the ward is the Tamaki area, which has undergone major redevelopment. So a priority for me is making sure we have the infrastructure to cater for everyone that is moving in here. Up to 60,000 are set to move into the area. Priorities, of course, are better transport options for people to get around, community facilities, and also, even though we're Labour, it is also about how your money is spent wisely. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That is Josephine Bartley there. Now we'll switch tack and go to Vicky Howe.
Malolele, everyone. My name is Vicky Howe. I am running alongside Luke Mialamu with Fix Auckland. Listen, I'm not here to talk about what the mayor does or what he doesn't. At the end of the day, I'm here to bring my skills, what I'm more practical, more people-focused. I'm also unafraid to challenge the status quo, which is the whole reason why I'm here. I also want to plug in that Luke and I bring a different set of skills and experience to this. If we keep playing the same card, you're going to keep getting the same results. So I'm actually here to be a game changer, so we can change that. And how can we change the game that the Manukau ward is going to benefit from? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm here. I'm going to touch on infrastructure, transport, housing as we break it down. I also want to explain to people without that narrative, just to break it down to you exactly what these terms mean, what local politics means for you, local government. So that's why I'm here. Malo.
Thank you very much, Vicky Howe. And now, finally but not least, we've got FaAfuhia. When you're ready, your 1 minute remark starts now.
Hello everyone, my name is FaAfuhia Michael Fia. I am an independent standing in the Maungakiki Tamaki ward, both as ward councillor and in the Tamaki subdivision for the local board. As the youngest candidate on the ballot, I think it's apt that I'm the last one to speak. I'm standing for a platform around accountability, transparency and common sense. That's what's needed at the council table and at the local government level as well. I'm very concerned and standing because many of my friends are leaving these shores for the lofty areas of Australia. And we need to make sure that council is accountable, transparent, and is guided by common sense. I hope that although I'm the youngest candidate, I bring a wealth of governance experience from the University of Auckland and other parts, whether it be the union movement as well. Hopefully you can see value in me and cast your vote accordingly. But across the board, get out and vote. People need to get there and vote for anyone, but please vote.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much to all of you for your opening remarks. Certainly important. And with that being said, let's get into our first question. It is no secret how tough it is right across the motu at the moment. Tough economic conditions, tough cost of living, everything is biting, let's be honest. Auckland's Pacific families have been hit hardest by rising rents, overcrowding and the cost of living. If elected, what specific policies or actions would you champion to make housing more affordable and accessible for Pacific people in this city? I'm going to start with you, Henrietta. Your 2 minutes, like I said, starts now.
Most people that are renting think that just because they aren't a homeowner, that rate hikes don't affect them, but it actually does. The rate hikes affecting landlords transfers to higher rent prices, so my priority of cutting wasteful spending will help tremendously in lowering rates and should translate to helping lower the rent, as well as fast-tracking consents with proper infrastructure in place so more houses can be built. Overcrowding has long been an issue in Pacific communities. The other day, I visited a Samoan family who owned a 3-bedroom that had 15 people residing there, a couple with 3 children living in the garage. The house was small, but the land was about 900 square meters. Communal living is almost cultural from back in the islands. We see the open whale structures as you drive from Whaleolo to Apia. But though not ideal for New Zealand due to the weather, councils, in my view, should prioritize rewarding shared equity organizations by lowering the cost of consents and fast-tracking them, as well as rewarding shared communal living by Pacific families by allowing them to easily build on their land and freeing land up so multi-families can live on the same property. Removing red tape, investing in smarter infrastructure so these extra houses can be built easily is a solution worth noting. If Pacific families will work together, they can easily achieve home ownership if that is their goal. I would place a highlight on a financial literacy project specifically for home ownership so families can gather as much resources and knowledge to be able to own their own homes. When families work together, as we do in our culture, we are capable of thriving and achieving our dreams. Furthermore, in regards to the cost of living, when our Pacific families can build an extra granny flat easily with less red tape on their land, lower consent costs, and live together, everyone can contribute to the cost of utilities and the mortgage, placing families in a resilient position to be able to handle the cost of living that we are all facing. And I, as a real estate agent, believe that when you own a home, you build equity, and that translates to wealth.
Thank you very much, Henrietta, for giving us your 2-minute vision there in terms of how you tackle, indeed, some of the issues plaguing our Pacific families in Tamaki Makaurau. Mentioned there, rents, overcrowding, the cost of living. With that being said, let's switch tack now and go to Alf Filipaina with your 2 minutes. I mean, look, we heard there's some coalition talking points, Alf. Give me your talking points in terms of what you would bring to the table if elected.
I think firstly we need to realise what central government can do and what Auckland Council can do. So at the moment, I really want to concentrate on what's happening at Auckland Council and getting it out. We've got a Pacific Housing Strategy 2030. That's the strategy obviously works with the central government. It's around increasing home ownership. We've also, because we've got 2 minutes, progressive home ownership. It's a PHO fund. We've also got financial capability development program. That is currently what we end up working with is Tamaki Regeneration Own It program. You've also got Habitat for Humanity, Penina Trust. This is what is currently doing. So it's working with what has been known to work. And that's exactly what we need to do. And also around, we used to have specific home ownership programs for our Pacific families. So what will I be doing? I will be definitely supporting those organisations that we already have a relationship with, but also advocating to the government. We have the Plan Change 78, which is the new one, the new plan that we put through that both Josephine and also Lotu supported. We got that to build our homes around transport hubs, and that's the key thing in regards to it. So it's working with what we've got now. I didn't hear a bell, but that'll be it.
Wow, you're right under time and delivery there. Thank you very much for that, Alf. Look, not to make sure that we're singing from the same song sheet, I'm going to switch it up again and I'll go to Vicky Howe and I'll reiterate the question, Vicky, just so that it's fresh of mind for you. The question is, Auckland Pacific families have been hit hardest by rising rents, overcrowding and the cost of living. If elected, what specific policies or actions would you champion to make things like housing more affordable and accessible for people in the city, Pacific people?
So Alf touched on what was passed, was it last week, in terms of the intensification about building homes near transport hubs. I believe that is actually important. If we're going to make affordable housing, we need more housing. And what better way to put affordable housing but near transport hubs? Wayne said it yesterday, what's the point of building billion-dollar rail if we're not going to have people use those railways or use the trains? So we might as well build in those transport hubs. One project that I've been a part of, I'm also on the Mangere Housing Community group, and a few years ago for the City Light Rail, they were looking at some designs for those high density homes, and this is what I will be driving, is how can we make it Pacific, getting the feedback from Pacific people on how those builds are going to be. For example, if we're building high density homes, how can we make the little things like the hallway wider, the design, put the living room downstairs, open planning like a fale. Those kind of designs was already run by a Pacific architect. Unfortunately, the city rail did not, or the light rail did not go through, but the thought is there. So that is why I'm going to be driving around. If we're going to build those density homes, we also need to hear from the community and how those designs will work. The end game will always be get your Pacific people on the home property ladder. So I'll definitely be working. We also have a lot of rough sleepers, and how can our social services around our Manukau ward can come together and bring their resources, so then that way we can house. We've got social housing register out the gate. I come from a MSD, so I understand the socio-economic issues, the socio-economic issues that are wider, but we got to look at those. I just want those homes, my lot.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Vicky Howe. You're listening to 531 PI's debate, of course. We're speaking with some of the candidates in Tāmaki Makaurau this afternoon. Now, if you are just joining us and you're just listening in, and you're listening in from another part of the country, just very quickly, a bit of a brief background in terms of what are some of the key challenges as have been highlighted by Auckland City Council itself. Number one is population growth, rapid growth putting pressure on housing, transport and services. Number two is housing affordability and quality. Number three is inequality. Number four is climate change. 5 is infrastructure and transport. 6, financial pressures. 7, safety and public service. 8, governance and planning complexity. So if you are just joining us and you're listening in from another part of the country and you're wondering what on earth are the big issues, there you go. That's just a brief explainer. And that, of course, it is just a summary. With that being said, we'll go back to the question now, and I will be throwing it over to Josephine Bartley. Now, the question, Josephine, just to again reiterate the point, Auckland Pacific families hit hardest by rising rents, overcrowding and the cost of living. What specific policies or actions would you champion to make housing more affordable and accessible for Pacific people in this city?
I think if we have more houses, the hope is that that will make it more affordable. That's the hope. So currently, those of us that are on council, myself, Councillor Alf, Councillor Lotu, we supported the intensification around transport hubs that the Mayor was proposing, putting forward. That makes a lot of sense, building 15, Councillor, building 15 stories in the transport hubs to use up the facility that's there of train services and bus services. So intensification, yes, but specific home ownership programs for our Pasifika communities, that is the aspiration, is that our families own their own homes. The aspiration is not to be in a state house or rent, but that is the reality. So more programs that help our people get into home ownership. And I can speak from experience because I did the home ownership program through Tamaki Regeneration and was able to buy myself a home at 52 years old by myself here in Glen Innes. And we just need to keep having more programs like that for our families to get on the property ladder. While I'm talking about housing, I want to say it's disgusting what this government is doing. We have empty homes sitting out there, and I've been trying to help families that are going back and sleeping in these boarded up homes that the government is about to sell. They have nowhere to go, and it's just disgusting. And people are working and they're still struggling and they're living like this. That is just poor showing by the government and looking after or not looking after our people.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much. That is Josephine Bartley there with her answer to the question. And we'll finish it off there with FaAfuhia, your take on what you would do with specific policies and actions to try and ease the burden on our Pacific people, starting now.
I think most of the other candidates have touched on those sort of the correct responses, right? The first is around controlling our rates. If you're already renting and trying to save for a home, it's already difficult enough to save for a deposit, as an example, whether that be through an ownership model like Tamaki Regeneration or through yourself as a private member. So it's really important that we try to get our rates under control and actually show some fiscal discipline. The second is, again, touched on by most of the other candidates around making sure our plan changes or our policy tools are being used to the fullest extent. So the plan change 78 with the intensification changes through to plan change 120 now, that's going through that process, needs to be quicker, and we need to do our job to try and build supply. In terms of the third sort of thing, I really think the Tamaki Regeneration Company within our ward really needs to move faster, right? I know a lot of people who are sitting on that waiting list, and we need to get those sort of programs up finished or close to finished as much as we can. So, it balances again around advocating with central government to get that funding line. Those are the sort of things that I think most of the Pacific candidates here have touched on, and I think I agree with. So that's my response to those questions.
Thank you very much. Apologies. Last but not least, there we go, is Lotu Fuli. When you're ready, let us know your vision. My apologies.
Yeah, whawhetai. Look, most of the levers to make a real impact in terms of housing and the cost of living crisis in the economy do sit with central government, and some of the concerns raised by Henrietta, for example, will require statutory change of the RMA. Some of that work's already underway with the coalition government. But I do want to speak a bit more on what we do as council. When I was chair of the local board, one really practical example is we have the Unlock and Transform projects. And when I was chair of the local board, we started the work to unlock the land behind New World and Papatoetoe in my ward for housing. It's taken a decade, but that work is now well underway with what was Eke Pānuku. So when that work is finished, there'll be over 100 homes for families, 30% of which will be social, 30% will be affordable, and 30% will be market. So that's one very practical way that we as council, working with what was Eke Pānuku and our iwi partners and private developers, how we can provide housing solutions for our communities. I want to quickly touch on the cost of living crisis as well. Obviously, our families are struggling through that. One of the things that we can do is continue to provide world-class facilities for our communities that are affordable and accessible. I'm really proud of the fact that Manukau is still the only ward that has free pools. We've got 4 pools in our ward, and we know that putting a price or putting a cost at the door is a real barrier for our families, for our schools who use it for their swimming schools, for our disability community, for our seniors as well who use it just for their everyday exercise. And so I'm really keen to continue working with our local boards to ensure that our facilities are world-class in Manukau, that they remain free, our pools remain free, but also our other facilities are upgraded to a world-class standard as well. I tautoko what others have said as well. I just want to quickly mention that we also have things like the amotai that helps our local businesses. Thank you.
Awesome. That is Lotu Fuli there. Thank you so much, team. Really appreciate each of you giving your take on what it is you intend to do if, of course, successful heading in after local elections have wrapped up. Now, I just want to mention this before we go to a wee bit of a break. You're listening, of course, to 531 PI. We're holding a special 531 PI debate, or I'm going to call it more of a talanoa. And basically, the importance of this, at the end of the day, is it's about voting and Pacific voter turnout. So, just a heads up that the Auckland local elections, as mentioned and highlighted, is currently underway, and you should have your voting papers in the mail by now. They come in orange envelopes, which also asks you to vote now and to mail back your vote before October 11. Now, as in the past, it is postal voting again, and this time Auckland Council will also help make it easier to have your votes back on time with Vote on the Go. Now, Vote on the Go is where council staff will be at various locations throughout Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland from now on. They're there to receive your votes and also help those who didn't enrol on time to cast what's called a special vote. Now, the Vote on the Go team will be at the Papatoetoe Night Markets at Hunters Plaza. That is today, Friday, October the 3rd. That is from 5 p.m. all the way through until 9 p.m. They will be there to help you cast a special vote. If you didn't enrol on time, and you can drop off your voting papers with them if that will be easier for you as well. It's great to have your company here at 531 PI. I'm William Terite, and I'm joined in studio with our local democracy reporter, Mary Afemata. We have Tamaki Makaurau candidates Henrietta Devoe, Alf Filipaina, Lotu Fuli, Vicky Howe, Josephine Bartley, and FaAfuhia with me. Now, in about 5 minutes' time, we will have your language news, and then we'll come back for question 2 with our candidates. Question 2. as about climate change and resilience. Many Pacific families, if we all recall, in Auckland are directly impacted by flooding and climate-related events, especially in South Auckland. I'll be asking the candidates what's their plan to make sure council infrastructure, emergency response and climate policies protect our most vulnerable Pacific communities. We'd love your feedback as well. You can reach out to us on our 531PI Facebook page or on our email pacificmornings@pmn.co.nz or on the text machine 531. Costs associated if you do indeed text us. It is wonderful to have your company this Friday. I'll be back with you in just a moment, joined by our candidates for Tamaki Makaurau. Proud Pacifica lineup. How good is that? Gosh, you got to love democracy, eh? I'll be back with you in just a moment. This is 531PI, bringing Pacific people together.
Listen to 531PI wherever you are on the iHeartRadio app. 531PI, Pacific people together.
Talofa lava, kia ora na maolo le lei, whakalofa lahi atu, warm Pacific greetings to you. If you are just joining us, you're listening to 531PI. I'm William Terite. It's brilliant to have your company. Thank you very much for joining us. It is 1:34 for Friday, the 3rd of October. It's Friday, yay! But with that being said, we've still got a bit of talanoa to get through. Now, if you are just joining us, of course, today is a special day. We're hosting a 531PI talanoa, really, for the Auckland City Council local elections. With me in studio is our local democracy reporter, Mary Afemata. Now, if you are just joining us, here at 531PI, our role is to make sure Pacific voices are part of the conversation in local democracy. Auckland Tamaki Makaurau, after all, is home to the largest Pacific population in Aotearoa. And this afternoon, we're hearing directly from Pacific candidates putting themselves forward to represent you on the Auckland Tamaki Makaurau Council. Joining me this afternoon, in case you're just joining us now, we have Henrietta Devoe, Alf Filipaina, Lotu Fuli, Vicky Howe, Josephine Bartley and FaAfuhia. And again, you're with William Terite. We're now on to question 2. Now, to bring you up to speed with it, many Pacific families in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland are directly impacted by flooding and climate-related events, especially in South Auckland. What's your plan to make sure council infrastructure, emergency response and climate policies protect our most vulnerable Pacific communities? Of course, if we cast our minds back to what went on with the Mangere floods particularly, I'm sure this question will be very important to members of our Pacific community. And with that being said, I'll start it off again with Henrietta Devoe. Your 2 minutes starts now.
So as Pacific Islanders, flooding may not be new to us from the islands. In my view, Polynesian people were built to withstand any natural disaster they face. Samoa with its tsunami, Tonga with its volcano, and Hawaii with its fires, and so much more. We are born warriors and navigators of the sea and resilient when it comes to any weather or life event. Auckland is a super city. It is such a beautiful place to live, but its infrastructure is long overdue for an upgrade, such as the pipes, roads, and rubbish or proper waste management. These are the basics. Ratepayers don't really ask for much. In an interview, I watched Wayne Brown. He was talking about the Auckland floods and that they found a whole lot of rubbish all over the pipes. One of my priorities is to deliver a waste management solution that helps solve illegal dumping and completely destroy the egregious food scrap bins, bringing those millions to fund the weekly collections, ensuring larger families can order the extra bins and increasing the cubic meter limits to the inorganic collections to 3 cubic meters. We should stop pushing climate taxes that add to the burden we face with the cost of living and reprioritize the basics. And as a mom and wife of 23 years, I believe if we do the basics right, our children thrive. And this will be the same with council, in my view. If we focus on rates, road, and rubbish, when weather events occur, as they always have for over 1,000 years or thousands of years, the priority will be on our emergency response. I really believe that Pacific families don't run to council offices when a natural disaster happens. Rather, they congregate either in churches or community hubs. I believe the churches should take on some of the responsibility when it comes to emergency response. Council should also be funding grassroots resilience hubs in council spaces in case of all emergencies with a well-prepared text and social media response for awareness.
Thank you very much. That is, of course, Henrietta Devoe there, setting out within 2 minutes, which I do fully concede, team, can be tough trying to get a vision across the line in 2 minutes. But thank you very much there, Henrietta. I'll now switch it over to Alf Filipaina. And Alf, once again, the question, what's your plan to make sure council infrastructure, emergency response and climate policies protect our most vulnerable? Your 2 minutes starts now.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we're already doing the stuff that we did. With Lotu and with Josephine, we ended up setting up, when it all happened, we ended up setting up a civil defence centre in Māngere, and that covered the whole of Auckland. But when we're looking at climate change, everybody knows it's real. And so the Blue-Green project, the network there, we've already put in $58 million to fix Te Ararata and Haranea streams. So that's 58 million. It's a 50-50 split. And that was supported by in Māngere, and that's supported by both Lotu and Josephine. And also, people talk about resilience, so then we got to make sure, and there's money put towards our infrastructure, and that is roads, wastewater, water, stormwater, make sure that works better. If you then move into our Pacific communities, what we've done, and that's council, is that we've supported an initiative called Manawa for climate resilience. That helps our Pacific communities in Tamaki Makaurau to support all our communities about climate resilience. There is a website, I'll forward that website. You need to have a look at it because it allows our Pacific community to end up talking about the issue. The other thing for me, and there's two more, and if I have the time to, the other one is planning for extreme weather events is important. So what we've done is we've got more accessible and culture appropriate information, and so we've got a resilient religious community preparedness plan, Cook Island, Samoan, Fijian, Rotuma and Kiribati. And also people have sort of said to me, what do we end up doing now working together? So I think our 2 minutes just about up. So kia ora.
Thank you very much for that. That is Alf Filipaina there. I will now turn it over to Vicky Howe. When you're ready, 2 minutes, basically just outlining your plan to make sure council infrastructure, emergency response and climate policies protect our most vulnerable. Your 2 minutes starts now.
I just want to preface and say that my answer is something that I'm currently doing. I'm not a councillor yet. I'm not an elected member. However, I am part of these projects already as a member of my community. At the CDC Centre, I was located there during the floods. I brought through the MSD team, so I was there. Secondly, with the Blue-Green project, I'm on that working group as a community stakeholder. I want to touch on Te Ararata and Haranea because while those infrastructure project is currently in place to expand the culverts, what people don't understand is with the flooding, the bridge was too small and it was easily blocked by also rubbish dumping also added to it. Now with that 50 or 58 million that's been signed to the Haranea and also Te Ararata, it is going to expand the bridge, expand the culverts, and hopefully stop any of that. We won't have to go through another 2023 event. But we also need to educate our people around keeping the waterways clear and keeping the waterways clean from illegal rubbish dumping. Also in response to that, emergency response for our community is important. The Recoveries Office also allocated some funding to Māngere around what are we going to do to help make us resilient. They ran these groups, these talanoa, to hear from the community about how the money was going to be spent. What they were looking at is do you put a first aid or some kind of emergency kit thing per street, per area, things like that are already in place or are starting to, so then that way an emergency response can happen. Climate change, we know the impacts of climate change, and whatever policy that will help climate change, I will definitely be jumping on that. So I hope I can that's my answer on just that. And again, I'm not doing this as an elected member, but imagine what I could do if I was your elected member. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is, of course, Vicky Howe there. I will turn it to Lotu Fuli. Your 2 minutes begins now.
Kia ora, thank you. Look, when the Auckland anniversary flood hit, we hit the ground running, as Councillor Alf said. Under Councillor Alf's leadership and the Māngere Otahu local board's leadership, we opened our own civil defence centre in Māngere because the Mayor and the Mayor's office failed to show leadership in that space in those really crucial days straight after the weather event. And our people did come, despite what Henrietta said. Our people came in their numbers. They came in their flood-soaked clothes. They were desperate, they needed help, they needed shelter, and we were there for them providing those things. And I'm really proud of the work that we put in there. And I acknowledge Vicky as well. The whole community came together working under the leadership of our local board in that space. We moved then to the recovery phase, and some of what Henrietta was talking about is that part, is the recovery phase part. Under the advocacy of myself and Alf and Councillor Bartley, Josephine, we made sure that we had navigators from our community who were able to work alongside our people to help them to navigate that very difficult time. We know our people are still traumatised as a result of what happened during those weather events, but we set up the recovery office. We've helped to fund different projects and different community groups to work through that recovery phase alongside our community. And lastly, I just want to talk about the flood resilience work. Yes, we've secured over $50 million in partnership with the government. That flood mitigation work is underway now. Alf and I did a site visit recently. Massey Road has just been closed, as well as the bridge, and we're told by our workers there that that work should be finished around the end of 2026. So that will make our community in Māngere more resilient for the next flood that will come. And despite what some people say, we do need to still prioritise climate change and climate action and resilience and put funding behind that. Because if we don't look after our planet, if we don't make changes now, there's not going to be a planet. Kia ora.
Thank you very much. That is Lotu Fuli there. I will now hand the baton over to Josephine Bartley. Your 2 minutes. Ultimately, just again to reiterate the question, what's your plan to make sure council infrastructure, emergency response and climate policies protect our most vulnerable Pacific communities? Your 2 minutes starts now.
Community-led in terms of emergency management, in terms of the response, the learnings from the anniversary day floods and the floods that happened after. It is a community-led response, and I do acknowledge Councillor Alf and Councillor Lotu and Vicky for your work with the Māngere community and the community shelters that were set up. I also think it is the community-led response, yes, but also the infrastructure, so that those communities that have heavy intensification don't flood as badly. The reason why they flood as badly is because they have less green space, because you've got concrete there now with these driveways and all the houses. So you're going to need more of these blue-green projects in those areas, more daylighting of streams, so they don't flood as badly, because they're going to flood. Everywhere will flood. It just depends on what level of flooding. Long-term preparation, because we are in a climate crisis. Auckland declared a climate emergency in June 2019. Things like waste, food scraps, transport emissions, less cars on the road, more on bikes, more on buses. That is how you're going to deal with the climate crisis. So it's not about the here and now and complaining about the green bin. Those all contribute to the environment, to addressing climate action, climate crisis. The Climate Action Targeted Rate has specific projects that are aimed at electric trains, electric buses, lowering our transport emissions. So I think we need to do a better job in socialising and communicating and educating on why we're doing the things that we are doing. But it's all connected. Floods, climate, all connected. But community-led and preparation.
Indeed. Thank you very much. That is Josephine Bartley there, and I'll hand it over to you, FaAfuhia. Again, on council infrastructure, what you would do?
Kia ora, again, since I'm the last one to speak, I'm not going to repeat everything that everyone else has said. I've sort of distilled it into sort of three sort of things that I would sort of support. First, around again that bottom up approach from in respect of uh, responding to emergency action. We know that our community can do a better job than we can. The reports from uh, analysing the response of Auckland Council's response to the floods were poor. That's from the mayor as well, and the chair of the Emergency Action Committee at that point in time, which I think was Councillor Stewart, who's not standing again. Those sort of things highlight that we need people who really understand that climate change is real and that we do need to put some funding to it. So again, I took with the other four candidates who've had direct responses to the flood. And we need to be really upfront about that. In terms of infrastructure, we need to be holding our water care boards and other CCOs to account around their functions and how they're planning for the future in terms of water infrastructure and the like, stormwater as well. We also need to be really clear that some of the housing that we've already built in places is incorrectly built or built in the wrong place. So we need to be working with central government to preemptively buy out those homes, to get people out of the danger or the risk to property damage that's been seen around the council. Again, with the new RMA reforms and everything that's going on, we need to also make sure that our building policy or planning policies are really fit for purpose, ensuring that we know what we're doing when we're building out in new greenfields areas and also within the other densely packed areas of the city. So again, I don't want to repeat anything that everyone else has said, but hopefully you can see that I've touched on some of those things.
Awesome. Right on time too. Saved by the bell. I'm going to stick with you. You're going to be the first for our last in terms of closing comments there. I mean, look, just give us a bit of reflection. Each of you get 1 minute each in terms of ultimately just your closing remarks. And I'll go with you again.
First, to our Pacific people and your listeners, it's time for you to get out and vote. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to vote for the same people, but your vote is your power. Rich and poor at the ballot box, you're the same. So get out and vote. Hopefully, you can see that you can vote for me, FaAfuhia Fia, as an independent, bringing you accountability, transparency, and common sense. Again, I acknowledge all those incumbents as well as the candidates who are standing as well, and wish them all the very best for the coming election period. Kia ora.
Indeed. Lotu Fuli, your 1 minute now.
Sure, thank you. I reiterate that as well. Please, whānau, the most important thing is that you get out and vote. We're only at about 12 to 14% in South Auckland, so we really need to ramp it up. You've got until the 11th of October to make sure you get out and make your voice heard and make your vote count. Of course, I want you to vote for me, Lotu Fuli, and for my brother, Alf Filipaina in Manukau. We have a proven track record. We've proven that we will not back down. We will not be bullied. We will not be bought. We will always stand up and vote for what's best for the people of Manukau. Let's go.
Over to you now, Alf Filipaina.
Just what Lotu said. I mean, you just got to get out and vote. Honestly, you got to get out and vote. And we have, and I'm talking to the three of us, and that's no disrespect to our candidates that are also here. It's not, but we are not afraid to stand up for our community, and we will continue to do that. And so for the three of us that are here, and as Fa said, I also wish everybody all the best, but we have a proven record. We will continue to fight and fight hard for our community because that's who we are and that's who we represent. Kia ora.
That is Alf Filipaina there. I'll now throw it over to you, Vicky Howe.
Hi, in closing, I just want to say that myself and Luke Mealamu is who you should get out and vote for to fix Auckland. However, it is important that you do get out and vote. I want to touch on this fighting because I don't know what battle it is. If you keep fighting, you got to come from you're at a deficit kind of mindset. You got to step into this and be an influencer and actually try and get the buy-in and negotiate and work with everyone around the table so you can bring back more to Manukau Ward. I've got the mayor came into Tamangere Town Centre yesterday, the first time a mayor has ever come to the town centre, and also our Ngāmanga network. Look at the influence that I could get to have someone come through. He was also able to talk through and give his vision to our people and also talk to our community, which I think was a win. So that's just what I want to say. I also just want to end on, it's easy to chuck stones at us. It's easy, and I just want to tell Tuko all the hard work that every one of the candidates have done, also the incumbents. They've started the trail for us, and we hope we can continue. But please, when you're sitting at home and you're being very, very critical of us, just know that we're brave enough to put our hand up to represent you. So we're here for everyone and for the community.
Thank you very much. That is Vicky Howe there. 17 seconds over, but that's all right. I get your plea. And I will hand it over to you now, Josephine Bartley.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm actually really worried about our communities because they're not coming out and voting. I'm worried about young people. A third of this population in Auckland are young people, but they're not voting. And so I think it's great to have FaAfuhia, who's only 24, putting himself forward. Okay, he's standing against me, but that's all right. At least he's putting himself forward. That's what we need. We need our young people to vote. We need our communities to vote. The voting is so low. People complain about this not happening, what's happening here, but they didn't vote. So if people could please vote, I think that's the main thing. We have candidates who are standing. At the end of the day, people just got to vote. That's the main thing. And I wish everyone the best as well.
Indeed. And finally, last but not least, Henrietta Devoe, your 1 minute now.
I'll echo the same message across all the candidates, and that is please get out and vote. And if you want to continue our weekly collections, cut wasteful spending, bring someone to bring real change and lower rates, vote Act Local, vote Henrietta Devoe. Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much to all the candidates that have joined me this afternoon. Henrietta Devoe, Alf Filipaina, Lotu Fuli, Vicky Howe, Josephine Bartley and FaAfuhia. I'm William Terite. It's been wonderful to have your company. As they all mentioned, none of this matters if we don't show up and vote. Every decision the council makes about housing, about transport, about the future of our kids affects all of us, specific families, our churches, our communities. Make sure to get out there and vote if you have the capacity to do so. Thank you very much to the candidates. All the very best to all of you. And a big shout out as well to our local democracy reporter, Mary Afemata. I'm always often just the face, but you are just the absolute legend behind the scenes making everything work. I'm William Terite. I'll catch you on Pacific mornings from Monday at 6 a.m. on 5:31 PI. Have a lovely weekend when you all get to it.
Pacific people together.